Your question, it's perfect already, Patricia, because we figured out that we are not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And so we are now live on YouTube and Facebook.
So
Oh my goodness.
I started out with your designs. I wanted to partake in the stocking project. So I tried it and it did not go well for me. I struggled with anyway, I didn't ever do it. I mean, I did finish one stocking, but it wasn't worth sending. But then I thought, well, I'm going to try the little heart quilt. So,
Mhm.
but I didn't ever start it. And so now I decided that I would, because you added a coaster to that pattern. And so I thought, aha, there we go. I can do a coaster. So I thought, well, that'll be a snap, right? So I got the hearts cut out. A friend of mine has a machine. And so I started reading the directions and I just and looking at the files, I downloaded the files, but I can't figure out which file does what. I can't get them in order.
Let's
I don't,
go
I'm
through
just
it.
lost.
Let's go through it. That's why I suggested coming today, because I can actually show you online and it's a lot easier than trying to figure it out in an email. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And I'll pop everybody there so I can see you all. Can you see my screen, Patricia?
I can. Yes.
Okay. So you got the heart to heart, small heart, right?
Yes.
And in the downloads, find your downloads here. We've got
Yes.
nearly all of our products have the same find your downloads here. And you can
Mm-hmm.
either go straight into the Dropbox or there are the zip files.
Mm-hmm. And I did them
Okay.
all.
So you can download all of them. And I'm actually literally going to download them. So click it and it will download. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to download the coasters file and the designs for right now. And they will
Oh,
land in, I'm going to delete that one. They'll land in your downloads folder. Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So let's extract all. Now, even even though I can click into this and see all the designs, unless I've extracted it, I can't use the designs in my machine. So you definitely want to make sure that you've extracted all.
Mm-hmm. I have them all.
Okay,
And I can open them.
so let's see. Now the coasters were actually added um, as a separate thing. And which format are you using? Which embroidery machine do you have?
I'm sorry? Embroidery
Which
machine? I
embroidery
have
machine?
a Husqvarna Epic 3.
So you're using a VP3?
Right.
Okay. So in the coasters folder, you've only got the small, medium, and large. These are the designs that actually create the coaster. Um,
Yep.
so just and it's always a good idea to look at what's in the designs folder first before you go to your machine, because not all of the machines will give you file names actually at the machine. It's
Okay.
interesting because I have an 880 and an 830. The 880 will actually give me file names on the machine. The 830 will not give me file names on the machine. Okay, so you've got small, medium, and large in the coasters folder,
Right.
and you've also got the instructions. Let me bring
Right.
that down here. So before we actually go there, let's also have a look at the designs folder. And we've got a folder for quilting and we've got a folder for the applique. So from the designs folder, I went into your format. the VP3. We've got quilting designs, we've got applique designs. So in the applique, you're either on point or square. Let's say square, then we actually get into the designs.
Right.
If we were to go into quilting, we've also got on point and square, and we've also got this folder called blocks, which is blocks that don't have the appliques on. So that's what we've got as far as designs go. When we go back in the instructions, this is everything that you'll need.
Right. I did that.
And so this is where you were having your
right.
challenge, figuring out what the
That's right.
designs are. So
That's right.
so you want to first, so to make the coasters, for some of our coasters, so for instance, in Mel's Practical Joy, not Mel's Practical Joy, Poses for Mel, the coasters are all kind of, they're, the design for the coaster is a single file and everything's included. With this Hearts collection, it's kind of a case of you can build your own design. So we've got 6 different hearts, we've got different varieties of quilting, and you can build your own design to make the coaster. So first of all, you want your quilting design. So you're going to go into the quilting square folder.
I did that and I chose the small one.
So we've got quilting square, and then you decide, which design do you want? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 6? Okay.
Well, under the
Let me
square.
just bring up the software, and then we can actually see what it's looking like in the software.
So you're under quilting square now. Oh, I'm under applique square. Oh,
yes. So I'm on in the main, in the designs folder, in your format VP3.
Quilting and then square. Okay, the quilting square. Okay, I've got that up.
Yeah. So
they're kind of empty.
no, they shouldn't be. Okay, let's just.
Well, no, I mean they're there. It's a heart, but it's in black and white.
Okay, let me so I'm on the embroidery software, but if you can imagine that you're actually loading designs into your embroidery machine. Okay, good with that? So if I load up the first design, let's see, where did we put it? We had it in the downloads. So we're in the designs folder, a VP3 quilting square. This is okay. So let's say we're going to go in with heart 1.
Okay.
So we're going to take the design 1S. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the first design loaded into your embroidery machine. So that's the quilting that goes around the outside.
Okay, so that's the first thing that goes in.
Yes.
That's first. Okay.
Yeah, that's the first thing that goes in. So next up, if we look at the instructions, you want to add the applique design for the same heart from the applique square folder.
From the applique. Okay.
So now I am going to, and remember, we're pretending that we're loading designs into your embroidery machine here. I'm going to go into the applique folder and the square folder, and we would working with heart number 1. So I'm going to take design number 1, and it should land right in the middle. All of your designs should land right in the middle. So they'll automatically plop right into the center, and everything will be in the right spot. So,
but Sarah, I've already stitched the first one. When the first one came in, I took it to my machine and stitched it. Is that right?
You can load all of the designs into the machine at the same time.
Oh, I can. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So hold that thought though. Hold that thought, because if we are purely following the instructions, the next thing says to add the coaster design for the size of the heart from the coasters folder. So this is your small, medium, or large. So we're working only with the small hearts here,
Okay.
right? So
Yes.
now I can add the embroidery design from the coasters folder,
Search folder.
and we want the small. Okay.
Yes.
And that is literally a circle.
Oh,
That's
wow.
all there is to it. That is purely a circular stitching line. So
Okay.
when you come to actually stitch this, the quilting design, let's ungroup everything. So the quilting design, if you were to stitch color number 1, okay, let's just go back into the instructions a second. And okay, so then you're going to load a piece of medium weight tearaway stabilizer into your hoop, right?
Right.
And stitch color number 1 from the quilting design. And that is a placement line to show you where you're going to position your background fabric. So your background fabric is a 6 by 6 inch square,
Right.
right? So in your embroidery machine, you're going to stitch this, and it's literally a square, and then this bit in the middle here is an alignment line for if you are trying to align the quilting after you've done the applique. So you can ignore
Okay.
that part, but you've got a 6 inch, you should have a 6 inch square here. Let's just go into inches. It's actually a 5 inch square, but you've got your 6 inch square, so you're going to center that over the placement line,
Okay. Yes.
right? Let's see, where are we at? Actually, you're going to center your batting first, and then you're going to center the background fabric, and you're going to hold it in place using Scotch Magic tape, at least around the top and the bottom edges.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Then you're
Mm-hmm.
going to stitch color number 2, which is the actual quilting design. So by the time you stitch color number 2, you've actually, you won't see the placement line anymore, because you've got your background fabric on the stabilizer and the hoop. You're
Right.
going to
Okay.
stitch the quilting design, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Next up, that was number 10. Okay, so number 11, skip over color number 3, which is the fabric placement line for the applique. Skip over the basting line in color number 4 and stitch the applique placement line.
Okay.
So that's color number 1, that's color number 2, that's color number 3. So skip past that. You don't need to stitch that.
Right.
And color number 4 is this basting line
That basting line. Okay.
and the applique placement line. So you don't need the placement line. It's not actually showing me because I'm working on a VP3 here, but you can use the controls on your machine to skip past the basting line. You don't need that, but
Right.
you do want to stitch out the applique placement line.
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
then you're going to fuse, let's go back here. Then you're going to fuse your hot applique in place, and it should be a perfect fit because it's a pre-cut
Right.
shape, right?
Right. Okay.
Um, then you're going to stitch everything up to the last color. Now, the last color is this circle that you added here, right? So you're going to stitch all of these things. And depending on which, I'm going to hide that so that you didn't stitch the basting line, but you did stitch the applique placement line. So this is what it looks like, depending on which heart you're working on. So
Right.
that you've got one more color left to stitch, which is this circle,
That
right?
circle one. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So before you stitch that circle, which is the last color on your machine, you're going to remove your hoop from the machine. You're going to center your second piece of batting on the back of the hoop
Okay.
and
Okay.
hold that in place with Scotch Magic tape. So literally put that on the back
On
side
the
of the
back.
stabilizer, hold it in place with tape, center
And then the back backward.
the back on the front of the hoop right side down,
Okay.
and you want to hold that in place using Scotch Magic tape. Now your back, your back is actually two pieces that you've
Right.
stitched together,
Right. And I did.
and you've got a turning hole, right?
Yes.
So when you go back to the machine and stitch the last color, it's going to stitch this circle, which is a seam line that makes this into a coaster, right? And
Okay.
your back is right side down over the top of this, and you've got a seam where you've
Right.
got an opening in it for turning.
Okay.
So let's see. So once you stitch that, you're going to remove everything from the hoop, trim away the excess batting on the back. So from around the outside of the circle, and remove the excess stabilizer from around everything, cut away the excess fabric on the front so that you've got a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then you're just going to turn the coaster right side out and finger press. If you want to,
Okay.
press gently with an iron, and there you go. There's your coaster, and you can whip stitch
Okay.
your hole
Okay.
in the back closed, or you can use some double-sided quilter's tape or a little bit of strip of fusible webbing to make sure that everything is nice and neat.
That's wonderful. So I think that it's the design. So bringing in the designs in the right order, they will stack. I mean, they're not really
Yes.
stacked, but they'll stack in there. Then I send that whole in my software. Then I send all of that to my machine, and then I begin to stitch, and I know how to skip the stitches and so on.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
you
Thank you. That's
can
exactly what I
you
needed.
you should be able to do all of this in your machine. There's no need to
Yes.
do it in the software first, other than the only reason you might do it in the software first is because it's easier to see the file names and the
Hmm.
folders.
Right.
But with most machines, you can add them in the same order. So first off, you want to add the quilting design, then you want to add the applique design, then you want to add the coaster design. And for the first design, you literally do the add a design to an empty screen, right? And then depending on which machine you got, like on my 8 series Benina machines, there's you can either load a new design or you can add a new design to an exit, whatever's already in the
Okay.
machine, right?
Okay. Okay.
And you should be able to do that. Kim
Okay.
is our Husqvarna Viking expert. Is Kim
So,
here?
so the trick is to understand in the directions what quilting square folder means, quilting applique square folder means, and coaster folder. That's where I think I got really confused. So I just have to read those names carefully and get the right folders for the right designs to go in the right
Yeah,
order. Okay.
yeah.
All
So
right.
Tara,
look
I'm
at,
here.
let me
Tara,
just add Kim here.
I'm here.
Kim, you have the a Viking machine, right?
Yes, I have two of them.
So can you add multiple designs in at the same time?
Yes. Yeah, if
I'm going to leave you two to connect offline about that if you need any help with that, Patricia. But
Okay.
Kim is our somewhat resident expert on the Viking machines.
Well, I'm not an
SH.
expert, but I know them pretty well. I do that sometimes if I'm combining designs. You can bring in a couple designs. Now I do mine in software and then take it to the machine. There is a way to do it just on the machine, but I feel I have more control in the software. So that's why I prefer to use it that way.
Okay,
Okay.
so Patricia, if you have software and are comfortable using it, then that would be a good way to do it too.
Yeah, I have the Premiere Plus Ultra 2. I don't know what you have, but
I have Sonnet, but right now I just have the free version. I got tired of paying for it when I wasn't using it.
I understand that. Yeah, no, I haven't made that switch yet. I've stuck with the Premiere. It's something I know, something I like, and I don't have to pay them every month for it. So,
Right. So Kim, are you
but
on
I'll
Facebook?
be
Is that where
glad
I
to
can
help
find
if you
you?
need it. You can message me, or you can just tag me in a post on Facebook. Either way.
Yeah, go into the Meaning of Life Designs Facebook group.
Okay, okay. So
And
if
then
you're within the Meaning of Life Designs Facebook group, I can find you. Okay, all right.
yes,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
just
Sarah. Thank you. Thank you.
you are welcome. So anytime you have questions, Fridays Zooms are a fantastic place to come. In some ways, it's easier than
Yeah.
emails because it's so much easier to show you rather than trying explaining it in words on an email.
Oh, you're right. This was perfect. I would have still been confused because it was the naming that I wasn't getting. I just didn't understand and so I mean this is wonderful. Thank you.
Well, you know, it also helps me for future instruction writing. Let me just see that go. This has been good for me too, because next time I can hopefully make it easier for somebody who's coming in as a newbie. I have a horrible tendency to think that everybody's done this before, so you'll know where to go to find everything.
Well, my goal is to do the Amazing Hearts one, and I am terrified. So I'm gonna get this one. I want to get these down so they're just a no-brainer. Like I think it was Jan said, it becomes muscle memory. That's what I want to get to.
Yes. Yes, it definitely does become muscle memory. So
Ah,
all the technique
wonderful.
for applique is the same. There's been very few changes in the last decade, actually, in the technique for getting a design exactly where you want it. It doesn't matter whether it's one design on one piece of background fabric or 100 designs on one piece of background fabric. My philosophy is if you know how to get one design exactly where you want it, it doesn't matter how many designs have already been stitched.
Oh,
So
I'm so excited.
start
So
small
excited.
as you are doing
Yes.
with a small
Yes.
project, and gather courage and gather momentum, and your skills will increase on a daily basis, as Jen was proving to us, and it definitely does become
Wonderful.
like muscle memory. So I'm so glad you're here.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Okay, let me see. I gotta find my questions list here. They got buried under Windows. Okay. Let's see. Is Denise here? Denise isn't here. I'm not sure if we answered her question or not. But Denise is talking about having put aside a project, simply dreaming, and having lost confidence in getting it out. So Denise, if you are watching the replay by now, you will have heard Jan's story and hopefully gain some courage from that. So it is definitely possible to get going again. And we are always here. We're always in the Facebook group, and we're here twice a month on Fridays, the first Friday and the third Friday of every month, to answer your questions live and in person. Okay, so somebody, let me pop back into gallery view here. Excuse me 1 second. We have got really good allergies going on around here. Somebody, and I don't remember who, had asked me about creating the box for the Groovy Letter Collection. And let me see if I can pull up a picture. I actually tried to find the box, and for the life of me, I have no idea where it got to, but I do have a picture. So with the Groovy Letter Collection, we created these alphabet cards and a little box to store them in. And she was asking if we have a pattern for the box. And for whatever reason, I'm having the darndest time finding anything these days. So I could not find the instructions for making this little box. I don't know if any of you guys remember if we actually had the instructions or not, but I figured that it's a super easy thing to show you how we actually went about making that box. So it's essentially each side is it is one of these letters, and it's got the little candle looking border around the outside of it, and they're essentially just stuck onto cardboard. Super simple. Stitch up a design on a slightly bigger piece of fabric, pop a piece of cardboard, the right side behind it, wrap the edges. Then we are going to have a quick look at what a box looks like. Interestingly enough, we're actually working on 3-dimensional objects in our Digitizing and Design Masterclass. If you think of a box, just happen to have a tissue box here. So you've got a base, you've got sides, this is a rectangular box, and you've got a top. Now, for the letter box, it's an open box, so it doesn't have a top on it. So you basically got the bottom of it, and you've got a front, a back, and 2 ends. So if you create a piece of paper, here is the bottom of it. We've got a front and a back, and a right and a left. And because the specific box, the Groovy Letters Collection box, is a square, if you've got a square for the base and for each of the sides, by the time you put an outline around the whole lot, you actually have a square, essentially divided into 3. So for the Groovy Letters Collection, the alphabet cards, I think, are 6 inches. And so if you made your box on 6¼ inch squares, 3 of them, the front of the box, or the outside of the box, you've got your individual pieces of card. So you've stitched up each letter, you put it onto a piece of card, you wrap the edges around. If you then take a piece of fabric, a square of fabric, and if we're talking 6¼ inch squares for each of these, then that would be 18¾ for 3 across. If you added a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here, 18¾ let's see, plus an inch, 19¾ so let's say 20 inches. If you cut a 20 inch square of fabric, fold it in however much you need to fold in. I'm thinking we're going to be at 5/8 of an inch. You fold in on all 4 sides, and then mark your grid. If you put a base and your 4 embroidered squares, which are being backed on cardboard, in each of the positions, then you can start doing some folding. And so if you fold on the black lines, that would give you You're either going to be folded that way or you're going to be folded that way. If you fold these bits, the corners, on a diagonal so that they go in, so if we're looking at it from this side, fold it on a diagonal, and then you can put that off to the side. This is a no-sew box. You can glue that down. If you wanted to get your sewing machine out, you could stitch that down. Even if you stitch just around the top, because you've got cardboard pieces on each of the 4 sides, you've got enough rigidity in there. So you can bring the corners in so that you end up with a situation where they overlapping like that, or you could have all of the corners, let's see, so that they go around. I don't know if you can see how they're doing that. So we've got this guy coming here, this guy, so they're all kind of going around, overlapping. They would look like that. And that is the guts of what we did with that little alphabet box for the alphabet cards. It's literally making each of the sides, and for the bottom you don't even really need to do any embroidery. You can just cover a piece of cardboard with your fabric and then glue, fusible webbing, however you want to attach them to your main piece of fabric, do a little bit of folding, and you are good to go. So that's a little 101 in box making. Okay, let me see. Is there anybody who has a question that I would love to get answered today? Because we have a couple of minutes left. Otherwise, Cindy is here. Cindy, I have not seen you in forever. It's really interesting, the names and faces that pop up in my head when I'm trying to sleep, and it's like, wow, I haven't seen Cindy in forever, and now you're here today. So I'm so happy that you're here. Okay, let's see what is going on in the world. So next Wednesday I will be in Full Lauderdale, Once Upon a Quilt. We're going to be stitching up some Awakened Heart pockets, and if you happen to be in the neighborhood, I would love to see you. We have, let's see what else is happening. September, if you are going to be in Europe, last I heard 5 out of 8 spaces are already filled up for the retreat in Devon. And so if you would like to be there, now is the time. Now is the time to sign up to guarantee your spot. I think we are going to have a really fabulous time. Catherine at Quilt Direct, they're in Tavistock in Devon. They have a beautiful studio. There is a really beautiful looking bed and breakfast place that everybody is going to be staying at. One of the evenings is going to be a celebration dinner. I'm thinking of digging out my sparkly cocktail dress, and you know, it's going to be a dress up thing, so I'm excited about that. I have to figure out if I actually can still fit in it, and if I can fit in it, can I actually get the thing done up? That's a story for another day. So it's going to be a ton of fun. We actually have a play day in the middle of this retreat, so 2 days sewing, a day to go out and play, 2 more days sewing. I understand we're right on Dartmoor. Lots of places to go and see, so it's me and whoever wants to come and play with me. We will be heading outside and seeing what kind of trouble we can get into. I think we're actually only about 30 minutes away from the south coast, so if anyone wants to go find a beach with me, we can also do that. And let's see, we are in a 5 Tuesdays month in April, so April 30th is the 5th Tuesday, and my friend Kathy and I are getting together to have a very random off the top of our heads conversation about something. And so I'll send you guys an email out about that. Let me see if I actually have on my calendar what time we're going to do that. So Tuesday, April 30th, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time. Kathy and Sarah getting together, talking about the meaning of life. I am actually going to get to meet Kathy in person next Wednesday. She is coming to Florida. She has never seen an embroidery machine before, never done any machine embroidery, and she is coming to Once Upon a Quilt. She wants to make a heart. She wants to know how it all works. So I'm like, come on down and let's have some fun. So by the time we get together on the 30th, we will have a ton of stuff to talk about, having actually been together in person next week. So I hope you will join us for that. 9 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesday, April 30th. Okay. If there aren't any more questions, one thing I do want to do, I want to have a super big shout out for your guys' husbands. Joe is going to know where this one is going, but I've met a couple. I've met Doug. I've met Cindy's husband, Mark, right? Hold on, Cindy. Let me unmute you here.
Mike, but that's
Mike. Okay, Mike. Almost there. You guys have the most amazing men in your life. And Joe brought Doug over here this morning. My cutting table has a hole in it. Well, had a hole in it because it's a conference table which had a hole in it so you could put a power supply in it. And the power supply unit is big and bulky and gets in the way of everything. And so Joe was over here with Doug earlier, filling the hole. I am so happy. The number of times that I've had the cutting mat over it and gone to cut and realized, oh, bother, there's actually nothing solid underneath this little area of the table. So it now has a completely solid level. I love it. It's beautiful. There is no hole anymore. So thank you, Doug. But you guys, for the men in your lives that I have met, they are all amazing and wonderful. And I'm going to say right now, I want one of my own. Who knows if that will ever happen? But just Joe was laughing hysterically here. Appreciate them. That's all I'm going to say for now. And Joe, I'll be telling Doug tomorrow, I appreciate him. I love the fact that my table has had a hole in it for the last 6 years and now it no longer does. So we are good. Okay. Leah said, I'm blushing. Yes, that's entirely possible. I'm also roasting hot. It is currently 91 degrees and I do think that the air conditioning needs to go on. As much as I was trying to get into May without turning the AC on, I am... Yeah, well, anyway, we don't need to go down that path. Okay, so we will be back 2 weeks from today. Oh my goodness. Let me see on the calendar. 2 weeks today. So May 3rd is the first Friday in May. We will be back then. Any questions about any project that you're working on for Meaning Life Designs? We got some fun things coming up. Marilyn said it's close enough to me for the air conditioner. Yeah, I think it is. Even the fan would be another good option around here. We got some things coming up. The Awakened Hearts appliques are coming along slowly but surely. The quilt itself is actually looking really rather beautiful. So I'm excited. I don't know if the quilt is going to be ready as when I want it to be, but it's coming up. We'll have some stitch outs. Piecing in the hoop, embroidered applique in the hoop. I actually, having said earlier, our technique for the applique in the hoop hasn't changed hardly at all in the last decade. I had an epiphany when I was stitching the heart appliques out, and I will be sharing that epiphany with you. I was like, why in the world didn't I think of that earlier? Anyway, I will be sharing that with you. And then we've also got some quilting in the hoop. And so we will have some stitch outs so that we can get together and stitch everything up and have a bunch of fun. So April 30th, 9 a.m. for Kathy and I chatting about all kinds of fun stuff, and especially meeting up in Florida. If you are in Florida next week, I can't wait to meet you. And other than that, May 3rd, we will be back here for our first Friday Zoom. So go out and enjoy the sun. Hopefully it's not too hot where you are. Do lots of stitching, and lots of love coming to you from Chandler.